Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LanceScurvX. First of all, I want to thank you for all of the born day, solar return, birthday wishes that you gave me for achieving the milestone of 63 years old. I really realize how important that is. To other people, it's just a number. To some people, they don't care. They do things to piddle their life away. I know every day that I receive is a responsibility and also a pleasure to have a day of life and have your health, have your mental, right? Have your spiritual and your awareness and your growth. And every day that life continues to flow through me, I grow, but I appreciate it even greater. And my view of life, it expands. It has expanded. You may see the same face that you knew 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it may be. But under the hood, like a brand new model of a vehicle, say a Toyota Camry. The Toyota Camry today is not what it was 40 years ago. It's so much more improved. So under the dome and in the spirit, I'm so much better. And because of that, and all of those lessons absorbed, and the battles and attacks that I've had to deal with, it has made me stronger. I have better view of what's around me, and I'm moving more efficient. And when you have that blessing given to your life, you have a responsibility to give back and share with those who deserve it, right? And I believe that you'll be granted more time when you understand how precious life is that has been granted to you by your Creator, okay? So I jotted down a few points that I wanted to make sure to talk about. And I'm gonna freestyle this. This may be shorter, this may be longer. I'm gonna check in on my points that I put down throughout the day that I meditated on. I'll read them off, but I'm just gonna freestyle with it. And I'm gonna do a lot of these because it's just important. As we see things, we have to think on our feet and speak on what we feel, parents to children, elders to folks out there in the world, and just sharing it with your friends. Because this is a different time in history, more than it has ever been. When you really look at it, let's go back, let's choose 1900, right? The year 1900. Could you imagine how different the world was back then? That was 126 years ago, right? 126 years ago. Look how fast the world has moved. The technology, the knowledge, the ability to eradicate certain diseases, even though they're making certain diseases with these agendas out here. But overall, the good stuff, it's moved fast. And the faster it moves, the faster it's going to move. And I appreciate those advances. What I don't appreciate is how human and humankind, because human is Hueman, and humankind, those other folks, because they're a kind of human, they tell on themselves, I'm not humankind, I'm human. And when you're human, you're connected full throttle with seen and unseen abilities, mainly the spiritual, which this world of humankind doesn't want you to have because it puts you above them with your perception. They don't want you to think on a higher level. They want this phone to keep you on a lower level, the connection to the internet, the gadgetry, while other people are studying things to bring their minds higher. They use it to attack us, to keep us lower. But we need to ride the wave of that growth, right? But not let it take us over and make a God out of it. I'm gonna read off one of these points here. We can't blame the system for everything while ignoring the work we refuse to do on ourselves. Accountability has to come back into style. A lot of us blame the system for our shortcomings. Yet, we do not want to hear nothing about accountability. Why is that? If you don't face being accountable for your path through this life, well, guess what? You will never grow. You'll always be an accident waiting to happen. And I'm gonna say something especially to the Black community, the melanated community, what they call African American, I say American African community. A lot of us, we don't want to have any type of accountability for our actions, even when it seems as though we're doing well. Like, see, we give people excuses. Oh, he just bought a brand new car. He has a big mansion for a house. He's making all of this money. But the things that you know about that person that they're not doing right in, not that it's actually your business, but it's an example when you see it, and you can pass this over to your children to say, hey, you need to be accountable in these areas of your life. That man who may look so successful, he goes home and beats his wife every night. He may stop by the crack dealer and smoke crack and eventually lose everything and hurt his family. Accountability. Can you look yourself straight in the face, straight in the eyes, and you know what areas in this life that you have to deal with and improve or get rid of? Can you do that? Is it where somebody else has to come and tell you? Can you really reflect on yourself? I did it today. How am I going to be better if I'm blessed to see 64 years old, if I don't face what I need to improve on now? And there are things I need to improve on right now that will not bring me higher if I continue to entertain them. If I continue to allow it to be a potential weakness. Hard talk now. I'm saying it. I'm not going to say what it is. Could be 2 or 3 things, major, minor. I got a good grip on stuff. But within our life, we have to understand that, like a chain. When you see a heavy chain with the links, you may not know it, but that chain, each link was made to be just as strong, but in reality, there's a link in there that's the weakest, but you can't tell it. Because the load that it's pulling, it doesn't bother that weak link. But when you have something really hard that it's lifting up, the weak link will show. That area of your life will show when life comes to hit you. So what are your weak links? And you don't have to tell me, right? A lot of folks don't even realize what their weak links are, right? Some people, the weak links in their life might be anger. They're easy to anger. They're easy to get in fights. I've known people who were wonderful people, but they were easy to anger. And several of them are not here anymore because they got into stupid altercations in the street, and it became physical, and most of the time they were shot and killed, all because they couldn't hold their temper. That's a lesson to me. I learned from other people's misjudgments. There was a brother a brilliant brother, and this had to be, okay, when was this? I was living in the States. This had to be like 2017, 2018. And he had a connection in New York City, where I was born and raised, at the Javits Center on the West Side. And they were having this big event. And I'm not so big on Al Sharpton, y'all know that. He's an agent. He's a mouthpiece. He's a compromise, whoever. And I'm not starstruck to be up around anybody. But he was going to be there speaking. And this gentleman who had pull with this organization or the several organizations wanted me to come there and speak. And I said, well, I'm flattered, but what do you want me to speak on? I mean, I may not be lettered like some of those guys or popular like some of those guys. But he said, man, your social media and the things you talk about, I'm quite sure I'm going to get you in. And we began the process, but we didn't finalize it. One day, I found out through a mutual friend that knew him or knew of him from Facebook that he was shot and killed. He jumped out of his car when he was in the turning lane. There was some kind of confusion as they were driving. He jumped out. He didn't have anything on him as far as a weapon, but the person that he was coming toward took his life. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, see, I missed out, because I'm not an attention hog anyway. I just do what I do. But that showed me, did he look within himself for accountability? Did he? I don't know. But I know many of us, when we're not accountable, the thing that we should be accountable for in our lives is the very thing that's going to bring us down. And that scares me. So the more you clean off and become accountable for the things in your life, the more really life gets sweeter. Right? Some people have other issues that they need to be accountable for. We have diseases out here that are easy to avoid if you keep to yourself and keep focused on the person that you're with. I just saw a clip earlier about Houston, Texas. And you know how they're saying the STDs are like off the chain in Houston, Texas, as it is in Atlanta and all over America, New York City, Washington, D.C., especially. With the gay community and the hetero community and the bisexual community, everybody. Accountability. Sex feels good. But there's a purpose for sex. There are times in my life when I was doing a whole lot of things. So I understand. But now the stimulation is so high with what we can see on our computer screens at night to put certain things in our head. Now we're walking around, but have you forgotten these diseases that are out here? I mean, back in the early 80s, late 70s and early 80s, herpes, AIDS, a lot of people shut down with herpes. You mean this is something I can get that I can't get rid of? Look at it today. People get herpes and like, I thought it was AIDS. But this is something you can't shake. Well, I can take a little medication, pop a pill, and what? Even with HIV now, people can live with it. And I have a dear friend of mine that I knew from Orlando who's very open about her and her HIV journey, how it happened, and and she's a realist person. I spoke with her earlier today, and it's not just going to be about that, but like I said, I want to have real people talking real things. I'll make that a live show that we can have some questions and answers going on, and she's going to tell it. That's how I use social media. That's how I want to use it. Let's have some real discussions instead of this clickbait foolishness, right? The sensationalized, talking about each other, throwing stones and tearing each other down, especially as Black people in social media. Accountability. Certain things we need to do and certain things we need to leave alone, right? Doesn't mean you're trying to be holier than thou, but you're trying to be better than you were before. Sharpen your knife through life so it cuts through life really sharp and there's not that resistance. See, when you have a knife that's not sharp and you're trying to cut through something, it's harder to cut through. But when you sharpen it, it cuts through easy. When you sharpen your knife, your intelligence, your awareness, you can get through certain situations that other people can't get through as easy because they're dull in their senses. It's like a dull blade. I have to say it, I'm very disappointed right now in a friend of mine, a childhood friend that I know to this day. He's been on the show several times, and you know him. Not going to say his name. Why is he locked up right now? He talked a lot about incarceration, but why is he locked up right now? Did something stupid because you can't control your anger. And that one hurt me. Because here we are the same age, I'm a few months older than him, but we're still the same age. Within a year, he's going to turn 63 also. And you're locked up. Putting your hand on a woman who's done so much for you, and you got health issues, major health issues, you might not be alive next year, man. Do we want to go out like this? Because we don't want to face accountability to really look at ourselves and go down the checklist and say, hey, I need to stop this now. I need to improve this now. I need to be better because I don't know how much time I have on this earth. And many of us are spinning our wheels. We're spinning our wheels, putting our foot on the gas of foolishness and not getting anywhere. And then one day we find, did you hear about? Yeah, man. And then people will lie about the lives that they lived. Oh, he was a real great man and he did this and he did that. Don't lie about my life. If I did something, you can tell it. But I'll probably tell it first on the show here before, or maybe you'll get more into specifics. You don't have to be afraid about anything you've done in the past as long as you improve yourself and hold yourself accountable. And you look, okay, things you need to improve on. How did you do it in school? You got a report card. You got marks according to your performance in certain areas. If it was writing, if it was mathematics, if it was history, if it was science, even in gym class, physical activity, you were marked. And then you know when you have that parent-teachers association meeting or you get that report card, you see what you did bad in or what you scored low and where you need to focus your attention. Can we do that with ourselves? Can we quarterly, 4 times a year, look at ourselves? Maybe you need to cut back on sugary foods. Maybe you need to cut out looking at pornography. Maybe you need to leave these people alone who just want to gossip, who, when you're not around them, they'll be gossiping about you. That's the law of gossip, y'all. You gossiping with them, you leave their gossiping about you in every single case. Now, if there's a child molester walking around the neighborhood and people got kids, you need to say, hey, listen, I don't know if that's true about him, but there is somebody around here doing things. That's not gossip. You're looking out. But being mad at somebody because they have a bigger house than you, being mad at somebody because they have a deeper conversation than you, then you need to look at your report card and go down the list if you have one, because most of us are not going to create our own accountability report card. And if we ask somebody close to us to say, hey, could you give me an evaluation of myself? They're not going to know every deep, dark secret that you have within. So they'll tell you some surface things, but it's not going to cut to the core. You know yourself. Like Teddy Pendergrass said in that song back in the 70s, the late 70s, you can't hide from yourself. Doom, 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 doom. We had better music back then anyway, seriously. What a song of accountability. Even though we found out in that car crash, he had some things to account for when he was with that transsexual, right? That's his business, he's gone now, so just saying. Accountability. Let's try to make our own report card. If you don't get anything else out of this, you don't have to show it to anybody, but write it down. Even if you burn it, you want to see it in print. What are the areas that are weak in your life? Where's the weak link in the chain of who you are? What's the part that's going to snap first? Right? We got to check ourselves. Let me look at the next point. Our mental health is under attack. And if we don't learn to unplug from the noise and protect our minds, we'll be controlled without chains. There it is again, chains. We'll be controlled without chains, right? Unplug from the noise and protect our minds. Sometimes, do you find that your mind is racing? Most of us experience that. It's because now our minds are being bombarded so much with so much information that we don't even need. But it's eye-catching. But it's also a big distraction. And when you can overload on this information and noise that you don't need and find yourself mentally stuck in a place where your mental health is compromised. Why do you think so many people are making life-altering decisions so fast? Our minds are so caught up and we're scrolling and you see a person you like on Facebook, you send them a friend request just because they look good. You don't like them, you get rid of them. You've been in a relationship for so many years and you find all these ways to get rid of the person because the noise in your head keeps you unstable, and we're so pleasure-oriented and don't want to work toward achieving a higher level and work through the tough times. Mentally, we're off. I used to say it years ago, yeah, we're in the microwave generation. We're in the text message generation. Now, we're in that scrolling generation where we're hitting ourselves and getting that dopamine hit on the things that we want to see, getting clickbaited or just the visuals. Men are looking at more and more women, just looking. Every time they see one, they're having sex in their mind with it. And they go home to their wife and, I don't like it, I don't want it. Her butt don't look like that no more. Or she don't do it like the girl in the porno movie did it. How you know how she did it? How you know how many men that woman laid with? You lay with her, you know how many soul ties you're going to get from other people? I've talked about that before. We jump from one to the other, and we're collecting soul ties. And you can get soul ties. Listen, brothers, it's not just, I have a soul tie with this woman. You have a soul tie with men. Because if she's laying up with men and they have soul ties with her, you're going to have the same thing too. Doesn't mean you're a homo. But, and I won't stay on this too long, but if you're usually a calm and reserved person, that woman that you laid with is confused, indecisive, full of drama, that's going to average out with you, and you're going to find yourself more indecisive, more confused, and having more of a propensity for drama in your life. And the men she's connected to, that's going to average out with you, all of that. And you don't know none of these people, but you're connected to them. You could be standing next to some woman in the daggone checkout line. The lady you laid with might be bisexual or part lesbian, and now you got a soul tie with her and don't even know her. And all the demons that they have on them, all the inner struggles, all the things on their list that they have to hold themselves accountable for, now it's put on your list. And you got more things that you have to be accountable for, and you didn't realize it. You understand? Do you get up under somebody who has a bad cold and they're sneezing and think you're not going to be bothered by that? And later on my nose is because you got too close to the person that has that cold. But when we have soul ties and we lay up in the bed and do sexual things with people, we're taking on, we're averaging out. Like I always say, when the number 100 went to bed with the number 50, the number 100 woke up as the number 75 because it averaged out. And you can get soul ties, I believe, without even going to bed with somebody. You're around them so much, your energies blend. I remember the late, God rest his soul, Marvin Hagler, when he retired from boxing, he went over to Italy to live. In a matter of a year or two, he had an Italian accent. If you hang out with people that have a different accent, you start to talk like them. When you hang out with certain people who have a certain mindset, you start to think like them. You start to talk like them. You start to politically and spiritually see the world like them. So this is why we have to focus on ourselves and know who we are and develop ourselves. Because most of us are open vessels to the world like a sponge. And when something gets too heavy, our mental will break and we'll have mental health issues and challenges, mainly because we don't know who we are. Where when you go out into the world, if you don't agree with something, you don't have to tell the person they're wrong and no, but you don't agree with this. If they try to push it on you, well, that's not my cup of tea. You know, you're nice about things until they get forceful. You have to say, listen, no, I don't do that. Me, take drugs? No, never. It's been offered to me. People I know, come on, man. Women? Oh, Lance, come on. I want to sniff a little something. Even that alone in the past with me. If a woman did that, I don't want to be bothered with you. I've left many a pleasurable scenario because I saw that a woman was sniffing cocaine. Don't do that. Because it rubs off on you when you get used to these things, right? Protect your mental health. Stay away from the noise that's out there. Let me tell you something. Could you imagine, like I said, I picked the year 1900. We know it's a lot of racism and all. We know that. We're not looking at that part. I'm looking at the growth of technology and knowledge, right? Do you think that back in those days, I haven't done any research this way? I'm willing to bet. I'm going to say it this way. I would believe, aside from the racism and the lynchings, and aside from all of that, if there was mental health issues for black people, it came from those things. The unfairness of society, the laws that were against us, those things. But aside from those things, if we could strip away everything, and I'm picking the year 1900, did we have the mental health issues that we have now? I don't think so. Because we didn't have as much noise hitting our brain. No way. No way. They say we're more free now. In certain aspects, we are. From that type of treatment directly, and we're still getting treated a certain way. But now it exists, but our perception can pick it up even more. And through what we've been through as a people, we can go from 0 to 60 real quick because we know that this thing is real. But overall, with what you absorb, all of these different ads online, things popping up and you got to click off of them, but you see it and it gets in your head. Worse, before you go to bed, you're looking at your phone until it falls down on the floor. You don't know how it got down on the floor. Or I admit, I research a lot. I look at some things that I want to ponder and think about, and I'll fall asleep thinking about a point. So when I do a video or talk about it, it kind of flows because I absorbed it. But a lot of times, I wake up and I don't know what it is. I wake up and the phone is under me, under my back. You see? Because I get so caught up in something so I'm falling asleep. But that's also a technique to remember certain things. So if you're researching something righteous, uplifting, or some type of knowledge that you need, it's not a bad thing. Because as they say, if you're reading a book or you're in school and studying, let that book and let the stuff that you're reading be the last thing that you have in your mind. You retain it better. And you retain it better when it's from a book as opposed to a blue screen of a phone, a tablet, or a computer. You absorb it better. That's a proven fact. Trust me on that one. I'm not going to sit here and give you a lecture and pull up all kind of studies. This is something I've seen. I'm quite sure you've seen that also. But what we tolerate, what we accept as normalcy, half of us are crazy. We're straight crazy. We're on the verge of a mental collapse. Because the things we see now, it's cuckoo. That's filtered down into the streets. The things that we see common in the streets, which is acceptable now. Oh, they want to be known as this and they want to be called that. I'm not trying to get this video flagged, right? But we know what they embrace and what they push now in the world, that if you saw it 30, 40 years ago, you're like, this person needs to be put into a mental institution. But in 1973, certain things were removed as being a mental illness. Ask me in the comment section, I'll tell you if you don't know. Or say it in the comment section. Help a brother out. But now it's not mental illness no more. Because so many of them buggers were doing it. Now you got people wandering around here. I know over in Europe, Britain, I want to be identified as a dog. So you got this wife holding a chain, a leash around her husband's neck, and he's walking around on all fours with a dog mask. Woof, 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 woof. What kind of mess is that? What kind of mess is that? And we get around these mentally ill people, and it rubs off on us. I want to tell you, I want to go deep. I want to get maybe nasty or tell you some raw reality things that have come my way. I'm going to say it this way, and I'm going to say it decent, and I'm going to jump on to the next point to show you how crazy this world is. And this is going back 40 plus years ago. I stopped bodybuilding in April of 1985, purposely, because I saw the drugs that were in it that I'm not taking, the prostitution, laying up with judges, male judges to get a higher placing and all the no, I'm not doing this no more. I should have kept it up for myself. But I told my friends, after this competition, no matter what I do, I'm out. And I did it. Didn't go back. Walking down the streets of Manhattan, you're young, you got a nice little physique, you're a competitive bodybuilder in the magazines and stuff. That's what I was. And you get people following you. They look at you. It's a curiosity. It wasn't as much as it is now. You say, okay, that guy works out. And I've had people approach me. I've had white men approach me, and I'm gonna say this point, that wanted me to go to bed with their wives. And in the conversation, because I'm like, let me really hear what this dude is saying. This is crazy. Well, I want to know if you can, they don't know me from Jack, and you talking to me like this. I want to know if, how can I say this in a decent way? They wanted me to go through the full reaction of releasing into their wife. Why? See, how y'all gonna hate us so much? Really hate us? And you want me to do that? I'm not saying it's all of them, but it's been a lot that approach me. Maybe that's why I'm toasted, because I don't see the world like a lot of people do. Because there's things that I have seen, witnessed, and been approached on that many of you will never experience in your lives. Right? Then they talk about, well, can I do you a little bit? Like, listen, man, I'm hearing you out, but I'm not interested in that, man. Years ago, this is not just some new stuff. There's a lot of them out here. I did a show about 10 years ago about Craigslist when they had the personal section. And they had the dating section, male for female, M for F, F for M, GM, gay male for gay male, and couples, all this stuff. And in every city, small town, big city, rural areas, you had people who were looking for that type of thing with a black man. But you hate us out in the world, but you want us, and you want to see us with your wife. Is that some type of way of punishing yourself for all the things that you think are doing to us, or that you have done, or is that some type of ancestral guilt that's been brought down? I'm telling you, that's a big thing. Anyway, I didn't even mean to talk about that stuff. Excuse me, but you know you're going to get something juicy out of me when I talk. Let's move on to the next point. I may have to click this video and run to the restroom and come back. I don't know. Let's see how it holds out. I drank a lot of water today, right? Too many of us are addicted to distraction. Social media, gossip, and superficial validation are replacing purpose, discipline, and growth. Addicted to distraction, social media, gossip, and superficial validation. Superficial validation. How many likes can you get on a photo? Ladies, if you take a photo normal, but you learn that you can push your boobies up a little more and have a little more cleavage and take a different photo of the same photo in the same position, you'll get more guys liking it and saying how beautiful you are because they really want to get between your legs. I know people here in the motherland where, let's put it this way, the internet has always been around. And again, I'm not just blaming women, it's men too. But we see it a lot with our sisters. It's fresher here in the motherland. It's fresher here where I am in Ghana. It's been around for years, but the phone is a big thing. Because when you look at some of the more non-affluent areas where resources are tighter, that phone not only is a means to talk to someone, you can communicate with them, you can entertain yourself looking at videos, so now you have something to fill your mind even more so than you did before. Because maybe 30 years ago, things weren't as accessible. Of course, 30 years ago, we really didn't have smartphones. So that goes for everybody. But we got used to the technology more so because we had other distractions in America, in the bigger cities. So it didn't hit us as hard, although it did hit us. But could you imagine you're living out in the country and you may not have as much money, but you get a hold of a smartphone now. And not only can you entertain yourself and text and talk, you can interact with people. And I did a show on this before, but I want to bring it around to the point of superficial validation, social media, the gossip we know about. Because it's easy. You can sit at home and gossip with your next door neighbor, people cross town, and just gossip all night and don't even have to sit up on somebody's porch talk about, did you hear about so-and-so? You can sit at home in the security and confines of your home and gossip away and act holy when you walk in the outside world. But a lot of young ladies that I see out here, not all of them, but a lot of them, that phone is something because now they can get the superficial validation of being told how beautiful they are. Some of them, because they've made up their mind, some of them now, not all, that I can get money out of men. Look at all of these men hitting me up on the direct message, the DMs, telling me how beautiful I am and wanting to take me out on a date. That wasn't possible before, right? You couldn't communicate as a young lady with so many men like that. So guess what? You have a lot of girls, women who are indulging in acts of prostitution or acts of siphoning money out of men without going all the way through, but you're titillating these men and you're manipulating them because of this validation that they're giving you that really they don't care about you because they're doing this with every other woman they see. They're just taking their best shot. This is what I see. And now you're getting your money. And then you take some of that money, you want to get a hairstyle because, you know, if you look better in your mind and put yourself out there. I see it and I know people like this personally who are doing it. I know some who are doing it and they don't know that I know that they're doing it. I know them personally, especially when I used to live down in the city. Now I'm a bit isolated up in the mountains, but I still keep in contact. You see people, hey, how you doing? What's that? I see what you're doing. I don't say that, but my little inner and outer circles, I see it. And a lot of weight is put on that to compromise yourself in order to get money, all the way up to prostitution. But the social media, the gossip, the so-called celebrity sites and things that we see, these stupid little songs that don't mean anything, they're trashy. A lot of these young guys and young girls are singing it and they know every single word but don't know a damn bit about their own history. They can't survive in a sensible conversation because their brains are so hooked on this phone. I know young people here and back in America, but since I'm here, I see it, and it's in front of me more. And you have Chinese folks coming here to the motherland, Turkish folks, Lebanese, white folks, folks from Korea, coming here and seeing the opportunities that they can create with the unity that they have, and they're not in that damn phone. And we got young minds out here. And from the way it seems to me, it seems that it's more so the young ladies. I know guys are into it, but a lot of younger women that I know, teenagers, early 20s and up, they're addicts, y'all. They're addicted. And it's bad because years are passing by. And it's like, if they don't have the purchase data to be able to get online, it's like a crackhead who wants a hit. It's like a person who wants to hit a heroin and they got to get it in their system, and I need data. Excuse me, can you help me with some data? I need data. What are you doing in your life? They might even be working a job, but they go into the bathroom 50 million times a day so they can be on their phone. It's really bad out here. I know it's all over the world, but I see it bad out here when there's so much progress that can be made, but they don't do it. They're addicted to distraction. And when they come out of that distraction, what kind of lives do they have? What do they really strive for that's going to stick? Because think about, this is 2026. Think about 2006 when Facebook first came out. And I think YouTube was 2005. Or maybe they both, no, Facebook was 2004 and YouTube was 2005. It's a long time ago. I've been online for years before they existed. And it was a whole different internet back then. It was more worthwhile stuff. You had things, but it was more interaction with people who had more sense. Where did they go? 20 years is a long time. I've been online for 25 years. 25 years and 2 months. And I've seen it change, how it really affected us collectively. There are people who weren't even born when YouTube first came out, when Facebook first came out. And many parents say, well, I'm so glad that my child is not addicted to drugs. I'm so glad they're not addicted to crack and methamphetamine and heroin. And it would break my heart. But they're on that phone, addicted to the phone. The phone is a new crack pipe, damaging their minds. And they don't understand how the passage of time goes. When you're in those younger years, it seems to go slower. Let's take it back even further. When you 6 or 7 years old, it seemed like time moves so slow. Now, boom, because you've been around longer, right? But those younger people who are so addicted to the phone, they're wasting the time that should be going slower now. So when they get older, and hopefully they wake up out of this thing, but I don't think so, what will their memories be? Oh, I had a wonderful childhood. I stayed glued to my phone. Addicted. Nobody goes out and plays anymore, the children. Even adults don't go out and say, let me meet up with some friends. Let's go sit at a restaurant and have a wonderful conversation. Let's go to a live event and listen to some music, live jazz or something. Let's take our time and dress up nicely and go for a night on the town in a decent way. Who does that anymore? They're in the phone. It's crazy. Superficial validation. Everybody feels they're a star. People gassing you up because they want to get in between your legs, right? They're gassing you up. Men who are sex addicts and you get up on TikTok and you start dancing, you turn around and show your backside. You know what you're doing that for. You want more attention. You want to siphon money from men without doing stuff, and some of you will do stuff. Is that progress? You go catch a disease or catch a man who's going to abuse you or take you somewhere where they find your body lifeless. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just telling you how it is. You don't know who you're meeting with out here. They'll tell you anything to gas you up. And we're so distracted. We're not on our post. We may go and show up and punch into a job and do time on the job. And sometimes we do quiet quitting where we do bare minimum. Or we don't see that, okay, I'm on this job. Let me extract the knowledge on how this operation runs so I can have this knowledge that even if I don't do the same thing, I have the knowledge of how this works. So in something else, I may be able to take something from that. But we don't have the discipline to think that way. We want pleasure all the time. Imagine if you ate sugary food all day. You'll be all messed up. Your pancreas will be jacked up and you'll probably end up diabetic. No discipline to say, okay, I'll get into this. There's a show I like to see on YouTube or on television or on cable. I'm going to watch it. Like, okay, I'm a boxing fan, right? You got Tyson Fury, who I don't really revere as some great boxer, but it's on Netflix, and I have Netflix. When I tell you I have Netflix, and I got the TV behind me, it's been months since I watched anything. Months! I got it on my phone. I got it on my computer. I don't really watch movies. I watch boxing. I follow bodybuilding, even though it's a chemical sport. But even then, I'm not even keeping up with those things as much. Because the older I get, the more I get into myself and stay knowledgeable. There's a mosquito? I thought that was a mosquito. And remain knowledgeable to who I am and stay connected to who I am, because at the point of transition, I've never transitioned and come back, right? We won't know until we get to that point. But at the point of transition, all of the superficial things that you've created with your false persona, the material items you have, the things that you think are you that are not you, it won't matter. You can't take them with you. You'll only have yourself. You are with you from the day you were born, and even before. You'll be with you the day you die, which hopefully is transition and not total death. And that depends on how you live life. But you will be with you at the core. So again, with accountability, why not be accountable to make yourself better, stronger, and wiser? I'm not as fast as I used to be. I almost got them, right? But this thing is stealing our souls. And for some of us, we're already too far gone. Our nervous system has been trained for this stimulation which takes us out of being connected to real living. Real living where your soul happily aches because you're living a wholesome life and you're in the moment. You're not distracted, always looking to see what's on the phone. The minute you fall asleep, there are people posting things online that you won't see until the next day. And if you try to catch up on it, there's stuff going, the day you die, there's going to be stuff online. There's going to be things happening. You're going to give me a charger and put it in my coffin. You won't even see it. Chasing rainbows. Remember that song? I'm chasing rainbows like a butterfly, zooming through the sky. I don't want to chase rainbows. There are times I've been duped from emotion. You're chasing this feeling with somebody that you're with or you're interested in being. And after a while, you realize you chase this stuff. It's got to be there for real. But when you're chasing something, you get that same feeling that when you were chasing the bus that you were late for, and you see the last person get on and the doors close, and I'm gonna get this bus, and you're chasing the bus, and it starts to move off. And there's a certain point where you're like, go ahead, I ain't gonna get this bus. There's a certain point we get to in this life where we realize we're not gonna hold in our hand the rainbows that we're chasing, but we can hold on to what we accrue as lessons in this life to keep within ourselves. That's the real beauty. Let me look at the next point. Maybe next point after that, I'll go use the restroom. I don't know. I got a strong bladder. Too much information. The youth are watching everything we do, not what we say. And too many adults have dropped the ball as examples, mentors, and protectors. Protecting our family, protecting our community, protecting the sanctity of womanhood in our community. Let me look at the word before that now. Mentors. We've dropped the ball as mentors. We have to be there as examples. There's not always a cost. There's a responsibility for us to exude decency, exude strength, exude discipline, exude accountability, exude righteousness, and be accessible to the younger folk, even the folks that are our age who may need something that we have as far as equality because maybe they didn't cultivate it themselves. There are a lot of older people who need mentors, right? And what's the other one? Oh, drop the ball as examples, just as an example. That's just as important as anything else. Just be, and it's not like, yes, I am going to be this example. Just live your life right. You're an example. You know why? Because there's always somebody watching. There's always somebody watching. I found that out with my mother after she transitioned. She had this book with all the addresses and numbers of everybody who she ever knew. That was a long story, and many of you remember it. My older brother, who was addicted to drugs, got a hold of that book and went down the list to try to get money out of people. And they didn't know that my mother was sick and had a stroke and stuff. And they were like, okay, we're going to help her out, you know, and gave a lot of money. He took it and put it in a joint account, smoked it up. Too much information, but I had to say that part. So there are a lot of people that when she transitioned, I couldn't get to. People that she knew from young, that lived out of the state. I didn't know them. They knew of me. I couldn't get to them. But as the word got around, and people started to contact me. They found different ways. We didn't have Facebook back then. And people that I didn't know that she knew because she was a teacher at two different colleges. LaGuardia Community College in Queens and York College in Queens. She's done other things, right? Lots of other things. And people came and found the address and talked to me a year, 2 years, 3 years after to thank me or to thank my mother for what she's done for them. Examples, mentorship, you see, and then sometimes protection. That as much as I saw her grading lessons and doing extra overtime at the school because she enjoyed helping people, where did you get the time to influence so many people that came different ages, different races, different, and when the number got out there that I had, that came, you know, I just want to thank you and rest her soul. I just want to say, man, I'm like, man, what an example to live up to. But I knew to a point, but this just took it to a whole new level. The amount of lives that she touched just in her path. There were people who lived in close neighborhoods that maybe she walked through a block or two because she never drove to hop on the bus. So my father would always drop her if he was around because, you know, he had his own business. So, you know, he would be gone, but other people would pick her up, whatever. But they would say, you know, every time your mother would walk down the street and I'd say good morning to her, she'd had a kind, motivating word to give me really quick. She didn't even have to stop walking. And this one lady said, you know, every morning I look forward to hearing this or seeing her in passing. She would be humming under her breath, because she sung opera. So her humming, she didn't need the sweetness of a studio and manipulation electronically, and a powerful voice too. Her humming was like, yo, that's dope. I don't know what song that is she's humming, but so you would hear this and you'd see her spirit, and she was always prayed up. Not in the traditional Christian sense, but you can categorize and call her that, but she was beyond that. She was beyond the religion. It was spirituality, although the template of Christianity is the way she spoke. My father was raised in the religious, but he was a little more, that man's man is like, listen, I don't have that tolerance level of stuff. Don't count on me on being some Christian. I will bust you. Not me, different people out in the street. But he was a loving man, and he was a man's man. So I got both inside of me. That man's man side and the kind, considerate, loving, motivating, But I can be rough, and when people see me in that mode, they say, man, this guy's a monster, I'm scared of him. But I don't walk around like a tough guy. But I got full range, and I thank God for that. Once again, I did a video yesterday speaking about my parents. But that being said, the people we touch, that adds up. That adds up to something. Not the people you touch trying to impress them or be Mr. Popularity or whatever, but the people that you sincerely, you have an essence about yourself that's so powerful that it touches people, as opposed to, let's say, a fake behind preacher or a wannabe YouTube entity who wears a costume of righteousness, but they're a narcissistic megalomaniac who wants attention and doesn't want anybody to be popular. Right? But I don't come here to be popular. Like, you know me through the years, this is the way I am, this is the way I talk. I've been like this before the internet, before I even knew what the internet was. That's the only way you're gonna connect with people, right? And I have complexities about my personality that may look like it contradicts, but in my taking accountability is for me to take the wrinkles out of the bed, so to say, right? But I don't know. Examples. Do we think of ourselves as examples? We don't have to be a celebrity or a star or some super famous person to be an example. Just be yourself. Always look to improve yourself. Try to do right and cultivate that inner strength. And that superficial stuff, that internet stuff, that's gonna go. You got to be real in what you put out there. See, whatever energy I put out online, it will come back to me. Even long after all the LanceScurv stuff is scrubbed off the internet and taken away, and maybe so many years from now, or after I pass away and transition, they take it all down and more stuff is put on, and it's less and less and less stuff that you can search. The energy and the connectedness that I have with you means something. So I don't care about, oh yes, he's got 1 million, 2 million followers or whatever. On this particular, let's look at it as a neighborhood. My front steps are right there and you stop by to talk with me. Or we went to the supermarket and you got to go down another street and I got to go down another street and we're on the corner, not any unrighteous stuff, but we're talking before we take our bags and go home. And either I'm going to hear about you leaving this earth or you're going to hear about me, but whichever one is still here, we're going to say, wow. I remember those wonderful conversations that we used to have. Just the same way with people that came and they didn't say, hi, I'm a friend of your folks and I'm going to be an example, but they were. Names that I can pull out the sky that you don't even know. You don't know these people. I know them. They're people you know I don't know, but the energy that was in them I can relate to when they're righteous. There's one good friend that, you know, in the black community, black families, if your mother, let's just pick mother or father, but there's always that uncle that really wasn't their brother, or there's that aunt that really wasn't their sister by blood, but we call them Uncle so-and-so because they're so close to the family. They were extended family, right? So there was this one woman from Washington, D.C. named Iola White. and she was so short. She was short. She wasn't technically a little person, but she was 1.5 inches away from being one. Not with the limbs or she was everything proportionate. She was short. So she was a powerful, powerful woman. If you listen to, she wasn't the kind of person to push religion on you, but her sense of spirituality was so strong that when she sat down to talk with you, not to preach with you because she's having a conversation with you, but the fire inside of her was so strong, you were like, yo, this is different. It wasn't the same kind of conversation where, are you saved and do you know where you're going to go if you die? And no, it wasn't that. But it was her passion for life and righteousness that's one of the batons that I was passed as a youngster. What was it, 1973 or 72, 73? Whatever song that Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes came out, Teddy Pendergrass was in that group. I kept hearing it on the radio when we went down to Washington, D.C. to visit with her. If you don't know me by now, you will never, never, never know me. So I kept hearing that. At that age, it could have been 74, it could have been 75. It was 75. I was 12. It was 74. I got to research now because I want to know, because that was like a top hit then. And it was playing down in Washington all the time. So as we're driving around, I'm hearing it on the radio. I'm hearing it on the street corner. I'm hearing this song all the time. So that always reminds me of that. So when I hear that song, I think of my Aunt Iola, who wasn't by blood my mother's sister, but she was family and she was powerful. And she was a little older than my mother. And I wouldn't say motherly, but she was like an older sister. And me and my father shared a cruel joke. It wasn't cruel, but she had come in by herself. She came up on a bus by Port Authority, and we were going to pick her up. She, oh no, I know New York City, I used to live here. She took the train on in to Lefferts Boulevard for the A train, the last stop of the A train where we lived, about a mile away from where we lived. And so I told my father, you know, he was in the car. So he said, well, listen, there's traffic out here. The cops are giving tickets. Let me sit in the car and you go up. And, you know, when she's there, I don't know how, did she call the house or something? And we kept calling back on the payphone. Oh yeah, she's coming here soon. She's there or whatever. So I went upstairs in the crowd to look for her. Remember, she's real short. So I told my father, I'm looking for her. And she's like, Lance. And I'm looking around and I didn't see it. And I looked down and I said, oh, there you go, right? Because she's so short. My father cracked up. He cracked up. But it was always like, I was so attracted to her energy. Aunt Iola White. And she didn't tolerate anything around her that was unrighteous or disrespectful. As small as she was, she didn't. A woman of character, a staple in the community, an example, a mentor, a protector of righteousness. You don't have to be big like a linebacker and threatening. You can be somebody as short as her and powerful. Powerful. These are the kind of people that I know. I can go down, I can do a 7-day show, if I can stay for 7 days, or a whole month talking about people who they have passed a baton to me because of their energy and their influence. And I'm basically riding off of the momentum that they put inside of me the more I tap into myself. So you discard of the bad examples and you absorb from the good people in your life. Even when you didn't realize how powerful or valuable they were, you meditate on them and you say, oh, I get it now. And that boosts you up. That gets you ready for the fight. How do you think young fighters become good fighters? Yeah, by repetition and training hard, eating well, whatever. But it's those old trainers who have been through it before. It's like, listen, you keep your hands this way, you throw the hook this way, you step in, as soon as you throw the punch, you move out the way. You come down here, you come up, whatever. And you're like, what are they telling me? But you utilize the techniques that they told you and you win in fights. That's the way it is in life, not just boxing. but how certain people move, and everybody who has gotten to a certain point and a certain elevation, they can teach you something, whether they tell you or you observe them. It's like when I would go into a bodybuilding gym where I'm not known. I was always kind of known, but I'd watch different guys train and I could see how advanced they were, even if they were covered by the way they trained, by the way they executed the movement, by the way they, you see, you could tell by the face if they're lean or not, or little things that most people don't know. Well, that's the way it is in life. I saw a guy the other day. Here in Ghana, I was down in the crowd, busy crowd of the crowd. And people were going about living their lives. They were on their phones. They were distracted and just on a different level. This guy walked down the street. Now, I'm not no homo. I'm not looking at him that way. But he caught my eye. He walked with purpose. And he was looking at me, and his eyes were very intense. And I locked eyes with him, and he nodded at me and shook his head, and I shook my head. I downloaded something powerful about this man. Not superficial, but he spotted something in me. Because as he walked coming up, he wasn't looking at anybody, but my essence pulled his eye. See, it's little things, split-second things that tell me a lot about a person when you download their essence. That's why I move in a way of energy, not just talking about it. Because you have people that, oh, your energy, and you're this, and you're that. And they talk this superficial stuff from something they heard on YouTube to try to get close to you because they know you think this way, but they really have no clue. Because anybody can lift a word from a video and sound intelligent, but can you talk the whole talk all the way through as though you've lived life and have accrued lots of lessons? You can take a little something, sound impressive, but can you talk with a specialist in life who has been through the battles, been through the fights, been through the attacks? I'm not even on the level of those who have mentored me and influenced me and been examples to me. But I tell you, at 63 years old, I can say I'm 63 now. Thank the Creator that I made it this far, this strong. But I have been through it. All kind of attacks to bring me down and snuff my light. And I'm looking in the camera and I say, thank my Creator, but you know what? To all the enemies who revealed themselves to me, I'm still here. I'm stronger than ever. And everything you've done before, I'm still here. I pick my teeth with that. And that's why I say, and I say to you who are listening to this video, thank your Creator for all the attacks you had and all of the false people who have revealed their intentions and revealed their heart to you. Because now you know they can't backstab you because they brought the knife out in front to stab you and it didn't work. They can't do anything to you because you know what they are now. See, sometimes they get past your defenses and get in and fake and whatever and get in to deliver their blows. But it gets harder because now you know. You're wiser. That's why I'm not freaking out at the number of the age that I am. As long as I feel good, as long as I have my mental, I'm good. And that's never going to stop. Let me know how you like this format. We talk on certain talking points and and feel free to give me some talking points or something that you like for me to talk about. Feel free. Anything goes. I will talk about anything, right? I just got a message that came in. Oh yeah, Kanye West was banned from the UK for a speech he made. I heard. These things happen. Okay, let's get to this next point. We've normalized broken relationships, but real love requires healing, maturity, and responsibility, not trauma bonding and ego battles. So true. I have a question to ask. And I was looking for this for the longest time. This little SD card was right in front of my face, and I was like, where did it go? It's right there. But now, do we really know what true relationships are? True, real, committed relationships are? Not this trauma bonding, not this chaos. And this is what I'll say. And like I said, we've normalized broken relationships. Well, it's going to be a broken relationship if the people involved are broken, right? If the people involved are broken, the relationship is going to be broken. See, what happens is that we patch ourselves up to look pretty, to look nice, to look, we don't really do the work on the inside. I was in a situation where there was a child or young teenager in my midst where there was a jar that was broken, a vase or something that was broken. And I didn't see when it broke, when it fell, when they knocked it over. But they took their time. And let's say, it was a vase, right? They took their time. It wasn't broken into a million pieces. It was like 4 major pieces it broke into, and there's like a little chunk that wasn't. They sat it up, didn't put glue on it, but sat it up, and it looked perfect. And if you looked hard, you can see where it was broken, but you didn't notice it because of the design. So it so happened where I tried to move it, and it fell apart. I'm like, wait a second, this thing was already broken. Who did this? I found out who did it. But this is what we do many times before we get into relationships. We are broken from a prior relationship, a prior situation, and we don't take time to heal ourselves. So you're going to continue to have broken relationships, or maybe a person who's not as broken and another person who's traumatized from something. How are you really going to get together and flow together? How? How's that going to work? It won't. You have the in-house battles, you have the trust issues, you have the hang-ups about certain things. It could never work, but you go outside and act like a couple. And when we say normalizing broken relationships, when I said couple, don't think it just means romantic dealings. It could be from the mother and the father, mother to the child, father to the child, the atmosphere that the child grew up in, and while the parents didn't directly do something to them, they did something to the child by the way they carried on with each other, or the overall tone of the home, which sets the pace for the rest of your life. And when I just thought of set the pace, you ever see when they have the horses racing, and before they come out of the gate, or they have this car that has these long projections, and the car speeds off, and it starts the horses off, and that car pulls off, and now they're free to find their own pace. When we get together with somebody, or we get around somebody, or have a friendship with somebody, do we really check out their origins? Do we really check out their upbringing? Have we done the homework to see if there's any damage done from our upbringing? Because our upbringing for a while, no matter how traumatizing it was or how great it was, that's our gauge for the rest of our life, and that's how we have our sense of normalcy. But like it says here in the notes, we've normalized broken relationships. Real love requires healing, maturity, and responsibility. So when you're with someone and they're willing to work on the things that has them broken, right? And you committed to them, and they're kind of broken, just as you may be broken, but you may be further along in your healing. You don't just erase them because they have work to do. Now, if they say, there's nothing wrong with me and I don't have no work to do, what you mean I'm broken or what? And there's certain ways you have to use language with certain people because they're so sensitive, of course, because they know that there's something wrong, but they don't want to take accountability. If you see you can work with this person who wants to deal to make themselves better and knows that they have a problem area or areas in their life because of stuff that's happened before, you stick with them if they want to improve, if they have that desire. But for example, if somebody's an alcoholic and like, hey, I ain't got no problem, I'm not a drunk, I'm just, no, something's wrong with you, I don't drink crazy. And they tell you to not see you. So that's where the maturity comes in. That's where the love comes in. That's where the commitment comes in any situation. But if a person doesn't want that, you can't bear that weight of the abusive treatment that they'll give you Not even sometimes knowing they're abusing you because of their lack of being healed, from them being broken. So as you circle each other, like in the romantic type relationships, because you can't choose your parents, you can't choose your brother or your sister, but as you get close with this person who's an unknown quantity, you have to evaluate them. They have to evaluate you. Too many times we jump into stuff because the broken vase looks good. So we grab the broken vase, like the one I was telling you about just a few moments ago. And we become shocked when it breaks and even can cut our hand or hurt us emotionally because they're broken. And you expected them to be completely intact by the representative that they showed to you. You say, oh man, she got it going. As a man, she got it going on, man. She got it up here, she got it here, and she got it in a few other places too. But this is a good catch. And you realize it could be hell on earth. Not putting the person down, but because of how they hid their brokenness, like that broken vase I told you about. That's why I mentioned that earlier on before I started this particular segment. Very important, especially if they're truthful. Like on the job interview that a person goes to, and they ask you your resume, they ask you your strong points, they ask you what you can do and your past achievements, and then they hit you with the question, what is it about yourself that needs improvement? What is it that you're not up to par with in your career? And most people are like Ralph Cramden on the honeymoon. They don't know what to say. So if you go ahead and say, no, I'm excellent everywhere. There's no flaws with me. I'm the perfect employee. You might not get the job because they know that you're lying, because everybody has a space or an area that they can improve in. Bar none. No matter how good you are, there's always a little bit, you can improve a little bit better because we're human. And we're coming from a place of, I'm not going to say we're subpar, but we're not perfect. I will strive for perfection. I will shoot for the stars. When I land on top of the mountain, I'm okay. And I can still go higher. But we have to admit that we all need work. We have to admit that there are parts of us that can always improve. And when you choose a mate, at least be on the same mental wavelength, because we've all been through things. We've all been hurt. We've always been through the mind games, some more than others, right? But we have to be able to talk about that and be considerate of the next person's feelings, especially when they want to work with you in a relationship. It's like a person may say, hey, this has been my experience and I'm a little touchy with this and I need reassurance in this area. You claim that you'll never do this to me, but I'm just letting you know that this is kind of where I'm touchy, right? And you say, okay, if this has been in your experience and I have feelings for you and I want to commit to you, then guess what? I'm going to make sure that there's nothing that looks anywhere near like what you've been through before, so I can reassure you so you can continue to heal and know that I'm considerate of your feelings. And that's the thing with us. A lot of us are not considerate of the person's feelings or considerate of feelings of people around us who we care for. We say we care for them, but they're like, it ain't me. I ain't do that to you. No, reassure them. Let them see that you're making the effort that way, and they'll, wow. And then they can slowly drop their guard from what they've been through before and relax themselves because they feel safe. And as a man, that's one of the biggest things you can do for a real woman who is committing to you, who's real with herself, and is on a journey of healing from anything that she's been going through in her past, is to make her feel safe. Make her feel protected. Yeah, make her feel loved and all of that stuff. And we have different love languages, and we have to find out what it is that, how you express love. Maybe because I might express love different from you, it doesn't mean we can't coexist and give to each other what we need. If I go to a place in America and I sit down and eat at the restaurant and I hand them Japanese yen to pay for the food, they're like, listen, we don't accept that. You know what I mean? So you have to have the proper currency. You have to be eye to eye, right? And on that note, I got some more notes that I have jotted down. I'm gonna continue them tomorrow. And I'm gonna add more on and just continue with this. I'd like to say every day, but sometimes things pop up where I have to go out and do certain things. And I got one of those days coming up. That appointment that I canceled the other day, I gotta still do it within the next few days. And I'm waiting for the guy to tell me when he'll be in the office. So, still gonna do content, you know, but this is always a pleasure to talk this way. And the more and more we have AI, putting up those videos where you hear this robotic voice and you see AI generated things going on and we can't connect to that. You know I'm real, and other people who talk to you real are real. That's what we need to get back to. We've gotten so much into the production and we're trying to look perfect and what? No. This is my studio. This is what I do. I have a studio in my house where I can sit down and I have all my equipment. I can push a button and create content. I can talk as loud as I want. This whole place is soundproof. Sound's not going out and sound's not coming in. So this is my complete and so heart and soul. I can communicate with you, and I give myself to you and the energy out to the world that was given to me when I was a child and coming all the way up to adulthood, to all of the people who have given me their baton to carry on because they trusted me with what they fed inside of me. And so even though we didn't have podcasting and the internet back in the day like that, I can do this en masse in a different way. Not that I think I'm more important, because there are people, contemporary people, who pass batons sideways to me of things that I learned. And I get in their comment section, man, that was great. I learned something today. But with ego now on the internet, too many people don't do that. I do. Because I'm alive, I'm glad to get to this point, and so many people didn't make it this far. So I'm going to utilize every moment that I have to pass on the batons that I won't be able to pass on when I transition, right? So anyway, salute to our brothers. Mwah. Much love to my sisters. It's always a pleasure. I like this particular format like I like the other formats. I'll be doing some videos out in the street sometime and showing you stuff, but I want to make it a well-rounded thing where it's a gumbo of everything. So if there's something you don't like, it's like a box of chocolates. You know, when you're a kid, you bite into it. I don't like that one. That one's nasty. I'm gonna put it back, right? But there's the ones you like, and you take all of those out. Well, there's gonna be something for everybody. We're gonna do it that way, right? But much love to you all. Take care. On to the next one. LanceScurv out. Peace. Again, thank you for the 63rd birthday wishes. I'm going to answer back as much as I can. There's so many comments, so many emails, so many text messages, but I'm going to try my best. Thank you so much. You're a blessing to me, whether you know it or not.